part of my thinking thinks that out of the pack that will unseat Man City, it may well be Newcastle. Not next year. I think they've got a way to go. But I still think that they are on their journey, and they're well on their journey. So they've laid really good foundations. Everything they've done, despite my vitriol and criticism initially, has been pretty much right. From Eddie Howe coming in, I wasn't an admirer of his. I made lots of observations about the fact that his teams can't defend, and that I thought that he had abstained from the pressure of Celtic. And I have to eat all of those words because, events have overtaken those observations. Jason Tindall has been a valuable member of the staff. The dialing down of the contribution of, other people in the organisation, and it being a team unit. Graeme Jones has been in it once upon a time. Graeme Jones was the reason why Newcastle were doing well at certain times. Yeah. It's now Eddie Howe, his team. Staveley, her contributions to the organisation, the getting these guys in the door, then their recruitment policies, everything about them. They go buy a £70 million footballer in Isak. Arsenal go buy Pepe, right? Two £70 million footballers put side by side. And everything about the football club at this moment in time has an irresistibility about it. Put aside the 0-0 draw last night. That was just hundreds of thousands on top of the 99 ice cream. They're in the Champions League, and they should go in there with zero respect for it, zero fear of it, and zero worry about playing in European football, because it's not a free hit. What it is a huge opportunity, and I think they'll take it.
And by taking it, you think they'll challenge Manchester City and might even nudge them out of their position?
Well, I think they will inevitably be the side that challenges Man City, because they'll have the economic resources to do so. Yeah. And when Eddie talks about not having this bottomless pit, well, what do you define by a bottomless pit? A bottomless pit is probably 600 million at Chelsea, somewhere between 150 and 250 million pounds, given the fact they've got an extra 50 million pound injection for going in the Champions League, most likely, will be what I expect Newcastle to spend.
That's a good point, Simon. Let's hear Eddie Howe on that, because obviously with Saudi ownership, and now they've really got their feet under the table now and things are beginning to motor, are they going to spend fortunes? To what degree are they going to spend in the next window? This was Eddie.
Regardless of what happens, we're not going to have a bottomless pit. We're going to be under tight constraints. So whatever we do in the transfer market, we're going to have to be very, very smart, and we're going to have to be as good as we have been, because I think in the two, how many transfer windows have I been here for? Three. Thank you. In the three that we've had, I think we've been excellent, and so we need to continue that.
What do you think that's about, Simon? Is he just tempering expectation there?
Well, I think so. It's ambiguous, because a bottomless pit is judged by what? Everybody has a quantum of money that they will spend. Everybody has a quantum of money that they're capable of spending, given the certain obligations to keep themselves within financial governance. But I don't think Newcastle are in jeopardy for that. I also think that they have got this initial 30 to 50 million pound cash injection above what they would have projected for, because they are ahead of where they had anticipated. None of them, irrespective of the journey they've been on at the beginning of the season, would have suggested in their mind's eye that getting into the Champions League was a realistic and budgetable outcome. Now, halfway through the season, when you see the way they're playing, you see the manner in which they're operating, yes, it becomes that way, but their budgets would have still been set on a different mentality, because there would have been caution in their mind. So what do I think they'll do? I think they'll spend. I think they'll improve.
To what extent?
Well, again, I make the observation without understanding exactly what their commercial model suggests, but I would anticipate a Champions League side that's in the top four, that has no ambitions to not be there the following season, is going to spend somewhere between 150 and 250 million quid. Well, why wouldn't they?
Very shortly, Simon, we're going to hear from a man you know well, and I know myself, the former owner of Newcastle United, Sir John Hall.
Oh, John, yeah.
And he is very much sending a whole heap of praise this morning in the direction of director Amanda Staveley for what she's done. And don't forget, if this is the start, then what might it lead to? After Newcastle United lost to Manchester United at Wembley in the final of the Carabao Cup, she told me exactly what she thought Newcastle would do.
Everybody's taken us on this journey. We will win the Carabao Cup, we will win the FA Cup, we will win the Champions League, and we will win the Premier League. But this is all about, the amazing fans that have taken us on this journey. And we're just honoured and humbled and feel very privileged to help run Newcastle United.
I think that goes for anyone associated with this football club, Simon. I've always thought for many years, anytime I've been there, Newcastle United is a special place. It's a special club. If you are associated with that club, if you work for the club in any shape or form, then you're blessed to do so, because these fans are special. And I know we talk a lot about fans on this show, but I've seen Newcastle fans, I've said this to you before, down in London. I saw them getting a tanking one day at Chelsea. Afterwards, they were in great spirit. They were out, they were chatting away to everybody. I'm not saying every single one of them's like that, but they are top fans.
Well, it's a hotbed of football. I mean, ultimately, Newcastle United Football Club is synonymous with Newcastle as a town. It's one of those environments where the epicenter of that particular part of the world is its football club. There are other parts of the world that are like that. London doesn't have that blessing because it has a variety of football clubs. All of the football clubs in London are equally as valuable, but there's something unique about Newcastle and its value to the community. Now, there were certain sections of that fan base that during the times of Ashley and during the times of observations that I've made about them that I don't particularly appreciate. But that could be said about most football clubs. You know, unless you say things about Man City that's entirely and endlessly complimentary, you'll be accused of being a Man City hater and jealous and bitter of it. And I don't understand that logic. Yeah. And again, if you make some critical observations about Newcastle, you find yourself in this similar territory. But on a whole, I used to laugh and joke because there used to be this idea of this Geordie roar, and I used to laugh with John Hall and Dougie Hall and the late Freddie Shepherd about the only time I ever heard a Geordie roar is when you lot score. You're the same as everybody else. You're waiting to be entertained. But in this incarnation of Newcastle, because of the Ashley period, and I never defended Mike Ashley, he ran the football club the way he wanted to, and Newcastle fans and he were never going to be good bedfellows, right? Right. But notwithstanding that, post-Ashley, you've got something that's like alchemy. It's something that you can only magic up in a football club when you've got that sort of togetherness. Yeah. And they've got it at this moment in time. And Amanda is riding on that crest of a wave. She's the one that opened the door. I have fundamental differences with Amanda Staveley about certain aspects of her observations, but I cannot not praise her because she opened the door. The reasons why this football club was wrestled away from Ashley is because she had the Rolodex and the wherewithal to get this deal done.
And she got it done. And wow, look at them go now. So Champions League football for Newcastle United from this point onwards. I'll ask the question, I'll put it out there. Is this the beginning of something huge for this football club, or is it the peak? Is this as good and as high as it's going to get?
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.